to make up back. But that means we have to leave here in the next 7 minutes. There are a couple of people who had their hands up before. Althea was one. Who was the other person? Was there somebody else? Julius has his hand up. No. So he can go. And then if we have, I see Patricia's hand. So let's take those three. I see Joseph as well. But it doesn't have to be brief enough because I want the people them to go for lunch so that God can give them the food to make them happy. And so don't stand in the way of God, it may move you. Be brief. Yes, Althea.
Yeah, I think perhaps it's our culture.
I'm listening.
Or, I don't know if it's this part of the world that may have a problem with enough.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I think a lot of our anxieties and stress is because we're aiming for more or perfection.
Yeah.
And I really love the fact that God keeps saying this is good, but
Yeah.
we should think of what He made. It's beyond good.
Mm-hmm.
It's way, way, way beyond good. But He said it's good, and I think sometimes we do our best, and when it's good, it's good. And you did say that God meets us where we are. And so therefore, I think we can relieve ourselves of some of the anxieties and stress when we have enough and not more, and we do our best and it's good. And trust that God will meet us there.
Right. So you're saying a lot of it has to do with our perception of good. And certainly the world that God created is good for us. It's what we need. And perhaps if we stayed within the bounds that God gave us, then we would be okay. A part of our problem is that we go outside the bounds, whether we sin or building on Gully Bank. And you say, well, people build on Gully Bank because they're poor. Well, we have poor because of sin, but poverty because of poverty is evil. And we wouldn't have poverty if people were sharing. There's enough for all of us, is the point. So it's not, the problem is not God's. When I say it's good, I don't mean that it's, when I say it's good but with chaos, I don't mean that it's bad. But we have to get to a place where we appreciate what God has given us. Who was next? I can only take the hands that were up before. Who was it? Julius, you were next? Yes.
Yeah, and this is good stuff. You know what? The concept of chaos and order,
Yeah.
as you spoke, and you talked about God dropping His hands.
Yeah.
I thought about Romans 1,
Mhm.
specifically
Yes.
verses 24.
God hands him over.
26. He gave them
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
And so,
And what is described there is chaos, isn't it?
yes. And so if you persist in doing
Yeah.
or making choices
Yeah.
that are wrong,
Yeah.
that are ungodly, He will drop His hands and chaos will flood like a tsunami back into your life.
Yeah.
And it's only when you come back to Christ does order come back into your life. Because if I leave God, I'm messed up. My marriage is done. My kids are messed up. You know, so it's that whole thing of if I persist
Yeah.
in this, God will give me over. He'll drop His hands. And so
Yeah.
I need to be careful of the choice that I make. And I make good choices if I stay close to God. So it's just,
Yeah.
I mean, it's connecting.
Yeah. Well said, Julius. And reflect on Judges and the cycle of the Judges. And that's what's happening. God creates order. And what do? They fall out for a while, and after that, every man go do his own thing. Chaos again, then them come back. Sometimes that's what our Christian lives look like. And the problem is that what we need to realize is we've got to stay with God and not keep leaving Him. Who is next? Patricia? Yes, and then Joseph, please.
Yes. What I want to say is about the creation.
Yeah.
I think God created a perfect world.
Okay.
There's a reason why it took after the sin,
Yeah.
after Adam and Eve, and then it took away the Garden of Eden from us
Yes.
because of the sin of mankind.
Yeah.
And I think the promises is like this Jesus, sending Jesus, knowing that He can make this world perfect for us.
Okay.
And just even in Revelation, as what is his name?
Ozzy.
Ozzy, right, was talking. I believe that God is going to make us, give us the real perfection
Yes.
of Eden.
Yes.
Because there was food, there are different food tree that was there for
Yes.
us to choose from. And I know if we have choose what God has given us to that we wouldn't be able to come into this world as imperfection.
Right. So if we did not eat from if we were at the tree of life, then there would not be death. That's what the passage says. And so God did intend in Eden to give us the world that He's taken us to in Revelation. And it is our sin that prevented us from enjoying that. I agree. Okay? All right. Joseph? Yes. We're going to close out here.
It's a question that always asks, and
Yeah.
it kind of puzzles me. After the flood, with Noah and the ark,
Yeah.
they ask, how come we have so many people after Noah?
Yes.
You know that God created, and God can create more people, but
Yeah. Right. So what we're told in Genesis is that all the nations came from Noah's 3 sons. And from them, scattered across the world, all the nations that we have. That's the account in the Bible. What that means, we can debate, but let's get to not the next series, the series after that, to really grapple with those questions. But a part of it, I think, is how we think about the text. And we've got to come at it not with our modern 21st century Western minds. We've got to enter their world, hear what God is saying to them, and from there, understand how that applies to us. Okay.